Hello, my name is Tracy Moody, and I am so deeply honored and delighted to share a message with you this evening about the Grace Bereavement Program. In my many years of volunteering, I have rarely worked with a group of people who are more capable, caring, and passionate. If you have not yet had the pleasure of meeting staff grief counselors Nancy Lloyd and Greta Solwald, the dynamic duo who lead the bereavement team, please give yourself that gift tonight. As a brief overview for those of you who may not be aware, Grace offers bereavement services to all loved ones who have companioned a hospice patient. These services can begin before a patient dies for those who want to start preparing for and processing their grief ahead of time. Once a death has occurred, all loved ones involved are invited to be part of the bereavement program, which spans the year ahead and includes at least 2 check-in phone calls, several mailings with a wide variety of helpful resources related to the grief process, and, if requested, more personal and ongoing care from the bereavement staff. Grace Hospice also offers an annual memorial service for the loved ones of those who have died, and more recently they have offered a mother loss retreat, both of which have been very well received. As bereavement volunteers, we are equipped for our roles through ongoing training and support from the Grace Bereavement staff. We largely focus our volunteer time on making the care calls to family that I mentioned earlier. To prepare for these calls, we are given a brief and confidential overview written by the social worker of the patient's background and of the loved ones involved. I cannot adequately describe to you what a sacred experience it is for me to read these bereavement notes. I do so slowly and prayerfully as I hold each precious person in my awareness. I consider it the highest privilege to be able to connect with these loved ones at such a tender time. In essence, with both calls, we volunteers want to be fully present listeners who hold gracious space for the bereaved to share how they are feeling and what they might be needing, to encourage them to take good care of themselves and be open to the love and support of family and friends, and to let them know that the Grace Hospice team is there for them in the coming weeks and months. What happens with each call varies widely depending on each person's need. What remains constant is the sense of gratitude expressed by the bereaved that Grace is there to walk alongside them on this journey. I have so many special memories of the conversations I've had through time, but one in particular shone brightly as I thought about this message for tonight. I fondly refer to this call as "It's a Wonderful Life." A gentleman in his 90s had lost his wife, the love of his life, to whom he had been married for 60-some years. I felt such a heaviness as I dialed his number and tried to imagine the heartbreak of losing a lifelong partner. The conversation that unfolded over the next half hour is one I will never forget. This gentleman spoke honestly and openly of his deep grief. And I readily noticed that he consistently framed this grief in a larger perspective that included so many wonderful memories, so much joy for all the years they shared, and such deep gratitude that they were given the time, the inclination, and the support to prepare well for end of life. As with so many others, he spoke in glowing terms of their experience with the entire Grace team. The social worker, the nurse, the massage therapist, the music therapist, the chaplain, and the grief counselor, who had provided far more help and support than they could have ever imagined. Together, we were both teary and joyful as we held his feelings of sorrow and celebration in a welcoming embrace. As he concluded his sharing, he assured me that though he was not certain how much longer he'd be alive, he intended, in his wife's honor, to savor every moment he had left and to look forward with eager anticipation to their reunion. Wow. With calls like the one I just described, I trust you can see how blessings abound in this work. The bereaved receive such comprehensive care as they are so skillfully and thoughtfully accompanied by the Grace team. And we volunteers not only get to hear their heartfelt appreciation, but also get to learn much from their stories, to be filled with hope and inspiration ourselves. If I were to choose a phrase that best summarizes what I feel our dear bereaved and we volunteers both receive from being part of our bereavement program, it would most certainly be grace upon grace.